Hi, my name is Anya Gariboldi, a professional sommelier, educator, and diploma WSET graduate. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about wine simply, clearly, and without the usual snobbery. There are still so many myths floating around about wine, and some of them really need to retire. So today, let's finally clear up a few of them. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Here I'll show you how to pick the right wine for any evening without overspending, how to find pairing that actually work, and how to enjoy every glass even without professional training. Right, myth number one, and this one is surprisingly persistent. Natural wine has no sulfites. People love to say natural wine has no sulfites. Reality check, all wines contain sulfites, even the natural ones. Fermentation naturally produces them. So when you see no sulfites or sans sulfite ajouté on a label, it just means no added sulfites. None, not at all. Both the EU and the US regulate sulfite levels strictly. And by the way, dried fruit or fruit juice can contain far more sulfites than wine will ever will. And if you really care about how much sulfite is in your glass, here's the simple rule. Red wines usually contain the least, but still some because their tannins and phenolics act as a natural antioxidants. Whites need a bit more. They don't have tannin, so sulfites keep them fresh and bright. And sweeter dessert wines, those are the highest because sugar feeds microbes. So winemakers need more sulfites to keep their wine stable. Sulfite allergy is real but extremely rare, mostly among asthmatics, and it causes breathing issues, not hangovers. So no, your wine headache isn't from sulfites, it's probably from dehydration, histamines, or having one too many. Myth number two, older wine is always better. Nope. Most wines are made to enjoy young, not stored like fine art. The majority of bottles on the market are designed to be fresh, fruity, and ready to drink right away. Rosés, Pinot Grigios, Sauvignon Blancs, Beaujolais, all better young and lively. Only a small percentage of wines are actually built to age. Things like Bordeaux, Barolo, Brunello, or top Rieslings or white Burgundies. They have structure, tannin, in case of red wine, and acidity to evolve gracefully. But if you leave an ordinary supermarket wine in your cupboard for 10 years, it won't turn into a collector's gem. It will just quietly fall apart. So age doesn't automatically mean better. It just means older. If you want to know about wines that are actually worth waiting for, not just the ones that get older, check my free vintage chart. Link is below. Myth number three, rosé is made by mixing red and white grapes. This one's everywhere and it's wrong. In the EU, blending red and white to make still rosé is illegal except for Champagne or Italy's Franciacorta. Most still rosés are made by one of the three proper methods. First one, direct pressing. Black grapes are pressed quickly, giving that pale, elegant color, classic Provence style. Short maceration, the juice stays in contact with the skins for a few hours or days, adding more color and flavor. Segnet method, part of the juice is bled off from red wine to make a deeper, more structured rosé. Think of French Tavel rosé from the Rhône Valley. They're mostly made by the Segnet method, and they're actually one of the few rosés that can age beautifully when made well. Outside the EU, blending is mostly used for cheap mass-market pinks, the kind of made for Instagram shelf rather than dinner table. So next time someone tells you rosé is red and white mixed, tell them it's not a smoothie, it's a proper winemaking. Myth number four, screw cap means cheap wine. Not anymore. Screw caps are simply a different closure, not a cheaper one. They keep the wine fresh, prevent cork taint, and are ideal for wines meant to be drunk young. That's why countries like New Zealand and Australia use them even for their top cuvées. Europe's still more traditional, especially regions like Bordeaux or Burgundy. But that's a cultural, not technical. Even Chateau Margaux has tested screw caps on its second wines. If one of the most prestigious estates in France is experimenting, it's clearly not just for the budget shelf. Screw caps aren't used for long-aging wines because cork allows a slow exchange of oxygen. But for fresh aromatic styles, they are perfect. So don't judge the bottle by its cap. It's what's inside that matters. Myth number five, expensive wine is always better. That's probably one of the most popular myths of all. Yes, expensive wines can be excellent, but high price doesn't always equal high quality. You often pay for branding, new oak, or long aging, not necessarily flavor. A new French oak barrel alone can cost over $1,000, and someone has to pay for that. In blind tastings, professionals often prefer affordable wines when they don't know the price. Why? Because once you remove the label and the expectations, taste is all that matters. Price is just an indicator of production cost, not pleasure. Find what you enjoy, not what looks expensive on a restaurant list. Myth number 6. Reserve, Grand Reserve, and Vieille Vigne guarantee quality. They sound posh, don't they? Unfortunately, in Bordeaux, those words mean absolutely nothing. Legally, Reserve, Grand Vin de Bordeaux, Grand Vin de France. Any producer can put them on the label, from budget to luxury. They're pure marketing. In contrast, Italy and Spain actually regulate their equivalents, like Riserva or Grande Reserva, which require extra barrel and bottle aging by law. Vienville or old vines is also unregulated in France. It can mean 20-year-old vines or 100-year-old vines, completely up to the winemaker. So if you want to gawk quality, ignore the fancy French words and look for the things that do matter, like the appellation, the classification, the producer, and the vintage. So what's the takeaway? Wine myths stick around because they sound elegant, but they often make drinking feel more complicated than it really is. Forget the rules, forget the snobbery. Wine isn't about price tags, screw-tops, or old vines. It's about taste, balance, and what you enjoy. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe, and check the description for a few useful links, including that vintage chart I mentioned before. Cheers, and remember, the only real wine rule is if you like it, it's the right one. Cheers.